If you thought that being addicted to alcohol, nicotine pouches, energy drinks, and sugar-filled foods was bad enough, just wait until you try this brand new form of getting legally trashed. Feel Free is here to potentially ruin your life and waste all of your money with its misleading marketing and its highly addictive ingredient, kratom. This stuff is somehow being sold at gas stations across the United States. And adults and kids everywhere are getting crazy addicted to it. And I'm not talking like your standard, don't talk to me till I'm at my morning coffee addiction. People are getting legitimately hospitalized from the withdrawals. They're compulsively buying bottles of this stuff and doing anything they can do to get more of it. And in some cases, people have died. This is a terrifying step in this vague and unregulated world of supplements, and it is somehow already out of control. A huge shout out to Opera for sponsoring today's video. All right, so Feel Free is a new product in the energy drink and shots category, which has been growing a whole bunch lately. Even T-Pain has one of these things now. And all of these new drinks promise you the energy that you need without the crash, and do so with a pretty standard mixture of caffeine and other substances like taurine, but Feel Free is at a different level.
Feel Free, you can buy it at a gas station and it makes you a really solid worker. Like if I was taking Feel Free every morning, we'd be producing 3 videos a week by now, you know? Like,
don't
it's like threatening the good
dude,
time.
I don't know.
You know what we should do is I should edit the Feel Free video on a Feel Free.
Oh my God.
This is the implementation.
I think we have to draw the line.
I down a Feel Free. I edit the video in 30 minutes.
Don't do it. If you do it, make sure you film everything.
All right, I'm on the hunt for what I assume to be like liquid Adderall in a repurposed vanilla extract bottle.
When I first started hearing about this, I thought, how is this even able to happen? Like, surely we're gonna get this stamped out pretty quickly, and in no time we'll be talking about how crazy it was that we could buy kratom-infused drinks from gas stations. But in the months that followed, it has only become a bigger problem. The stories got picked up by major news outlets, and then there was an announcement by the US government that there was going to be a crackdown on these kratom supplements. And for a minute there, I was like, we did it? These things are banned now? Well, no, because we wouldn't be making this video if it had. See, if you go to Feel Free's website, they have a big disclaimer on there to let people know that they are not affected by this change. So what the hell is happening? And how is that even possible? And where is this going to go into the future? 3 or 4 great questions, by the way. Let me fill you in. And if you're like me, using the internet to find out all about the crazy stuff that's going on in the world, you might as well be using Opera to do so. Listen, we've tried a lot of systems here on the back end of this YouTube channel to keep things organized and keep our thoughts together in the same place between 3 brains, especially when it comes to researching and writing scripts. One of the hardest things to keep track of is tab management, and that is where Opera is truly a lifesaver. With tab islands, where you can group your tabs by category like shopping or travel or work or whatever crazy scam is going on the internet now, and simply collapse them and expand them whenever you need. And tab traces, which allows you to easily track your most recently used tabs thanks to this subtle visual trace, which is super useful when you've got a bunch of tabs open because you can see where you've already been without having to go searching. The darker the underscore, the more recently you visited that tab. Genuinely, in the writing of these scripts, I've got thousands of little tabs. It's not that many. When I'm writing scripts, I have a lot of tabs open, and knowing which one I'm flipping back and forth to is very useful. Another really cool feature that we find ourselves using time and time again is the split screen. You can open 2 pages in the same browser window. No need to switch between tabs at all. Just drag one tab downwards and your screen will split in 2, which is really handy when we're using YouTube videos as a source and we have to jot down notes while we're watching it at the same time. Also, one of the coolest things that makes this whole process smoother, sure, but honestly just way more fun, is Opera's themes. There are endless combinations combinations in the themes gallery. You can customize colors, sounds, and animation. Try dynamic looks that are preset, like Midsummer, Aurora, or Viking, and transform your browser into something uniquely you. If y'all want a browser that is as useful as Opera, check it out below by clicking the link in the description to download it today. A huge thank you to Opera for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump right back in. So, feel-free supplements exist within the wellness world. And this is central to this whole story because supplements in this category aren't regulated in the same way that food products are by the FDA. So they are limited to post-market enforcement, which basically means that they're trying to get the cat back in the bag, even though the cat's already out of the bag. So instead of testing products and making sure that things are safe before people try them, they're trying to regulate feel-free while it's already out in the world fucking up people's lives.
I was calling a bunch of different places because I was getting sick of driving to different places. And I finally called the seediest tobacco shop I have ever been in. But yeah, I went in there, handed him a $10 bill. He handed me a bottle of Feel Free. And then he was like, if you want the whole display, like I'll give it to you for $100. And I was like, that's all right.
I give you a whole box for $100.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, thank you.
Dude, he knows his demo though. He's like, you're gonna come back. I'm just saying, you could get the whole crate for $100.
The ingredient that is in this beverage that is making people go crazy is called kratom, or specifically the alkaloid 7-hydroxymitragynine. I had never heard of this substance before I did the research for this video, and apparently it is a naturally occurring substance that is very addictive. I used the quotes around naturally occurring because this is the really casual phrase that we hear a lot that makes things seem like they are natural and, you know, it just comes from a plant or something. It's chill to consume. However, the amount of the active ingredient in kratom varies greatly, and sellers can freely add more of that ingredient or other psychoactive ingredients without any repercussions due to the lack of regulations around this stuff. And the crazy part is that this stuff, kratom, is legal to buy and sell in the United States. Apparently, it's supposed to help with a bunch of ailments, most notably opioid withdrawals. I didn't know this, but there is a bunch of products that exist out there today that have kratom in them, most of which have more kratom in them than experts would recommend that you take per day. In some cases, describing them as legal morphine. And listen, this stuff's been around for a while. It's not like this is a new technology or something. But the reason why we're hearing about it so much is because Feel Free just happens to be the most widely available one and happens to be the one that's gone viral.
They do have a really dark tinted bottle with really dark liquid. It's impossible to see like how much
What color is the liquid?
It's like brown.
For some reason in my head it was like clear or something.
It's like brown and it tastes horrible. I think the way I described it at the time was like, you know, when you have like a bite of raw garlic and it's got that kind of like cut to it, like it's got the sting a little bit. Imagine if Beets had that same thing.
Beets.
That's what it tastes like.
One of the big differences with Feel Free is that it leans into this all-natural marketing to give people the idea that this is a different and more healthy version of your typical energy drink experience. It comes in these little blue bottles, which is like the same form factor as like a 5-hour energy drink, and it retails for $78 per 6-pack on their website. Now, you have to be over the age of 21 to buy this in the first place, and there's actually stories of people getting asked by kids outside of grocery stores and gas stations to get people to buy this stuff for them.
Something truly disturbing just happened to me. I just stopped for gas on my way home, and while I was there, I wanted a beverage, so I went to go inside. As I'm walking in, I am approached by a child, and he says, "Hey, can you buy me some Feel Free?" I didn't understand what he was talking about, but I said, "Do you need food or something?" And he said, "No, I need Feel Free." And I was like, "I'm sorry, no." And this young kid lunged at me and tried to take my wallet out of my hand. I grabbed it really fast and I just went inside.
Could you imagine being in a retail environment where you are effectively selling people a life-altering substance? Like you could argue that maybe if you worked in a liquor store, you are operating in the same capacity, but like, you are selling a drug that you can see blatantly is ruining people's lives. and it's legal. Like, you have to sell it to them. Like, there isn't the same kind of liquor laws that apply to booze that apply to this supplement that you now have on your shelf that you can sell to people. Like, there's kids addicted to this shit. We cover a lot of trends on this channel, but it is rare that we find one that is so genuinely disturbing. Like, I feel like in some ways we're making this video as a PSA to simply spread the word, just to make sure that as many people as possible know the insanely horrible side effects of this product. So as you'll remember, RFK Jr. announces a crackdown in response to all these headlines, right? But on their website, they proudly remind people that they're not a target of these crackdowns. In fact, they applauded the historic move by lawmakers and made a compilation video from the announcement and linked it on their website. This is because the new ban specifically addresses concentrated 7-OH products, not kratom leaf products that are in feel-free supplements. This Reuters article basically reads like a pamphlet for feel-free supplements, because if you're to just read this piece, Feel Free is the only legit company out there in a sea of kratom pirates trying to plunder your mind and wallets. But there's gotta be something going on here, right? Because all of these viral stories of people ruining their lives is about Feel Free specifically. Now, if you think about this from a critical thinking lens, or even just a slightly more pessimistic, nihilistic one, there's two options of what's going on here. One, the ban on the concentrated unpronounceable compound that is found within the kratom leaf is actually not going to affect that many products, or it's only going to impact Feel Free's competitors in the marketplace and force them to compete with them using the same ingredients. Now, I'm not saying that this is market manipulation. I'm not saying that this is some sort of scheme to reinforce Feel Free's dominance in the marketplace. I'm just saying that this may be some kind of lobbying effort to convince RFK Jr. to make this ban specifically not target this company. And look, I don't know RFK Jr. that well, but the founder of Botanic Tonics is the kind of guy that RFK Jr. would be friends with.
You wrote in the script, you were like, this is the kind of guy who'd be friends with RFK Jr. I was like, I don't know if we can say that, like, for sure. Like, it's kind of hyperbole. I was like, whatever, we'll leave it and see what happens. And then Matthew literally found a picture of the CEO of Feel Free with RFK Jr.
J.W. Ross is the former owner of multiple oil and gas companies, and he sold a fintech business to Oracle a little while ago. And just around the time that all of this drama was going on with his product, he bought a $30 million mansion in Malibu. He's a great guy who designed Feel Free as an alcohol alternative, but weirdly, this thing happens to be a lot more addictive than the alcohol that people were trying to stop using, with whole ass subreddits dedicated for people trying to get off of it. They even settled a $8.75 million lawsuit over this situation. So I can't say that this ban was specifically created to put out headlines that made it seem like the problem was solved while quietly ensuring the fortune of one specific multi-millionaire, but that's kind of what it looks like. This part is admittedly speculation, so if anyone has any, other ideas of what might be going on, please leave them in the comments down below. But let's talk about some other reasons why this thing is devastatingly popular for people. Another aspect of Feel Free's explosive success is the way that it was marketed and the cultural context that we are in today versus like even 5 years ago. First off, ever since COVID, the consumer landscape is just a post-truth wasteland. Donald Trump is the president, AI is everywhere, meme stocks are everywhere, scammy products are everywhere, and you just don't know what to think of anything anymore. In the pre-COVID and even more so pre-internet world, I feel like there was still a certain amount of skepticism that consumers had when it came to products that claimed to change their lives in ways that a colorfully labeled bottle just shouldn't really be able to do, you know? But today, that's all changed. We are all overstimulated all the time by the phones in front of our faces, bombarded with a nonstop fire hose of information that makes it increasingly difficult to interpret truth from falsehood, a good idea from a bad one. And this has just resulted in a disturbing push into the stimulant world with products like Zins and vapes and energy drinks. And this is where Feel Free starts to suddenly make sense. They are an herbal supplement made with 100% plant-based botanicals. This little blue bottle gives it a sort of tincture vibe, right? And it promises to enhance your focus, to give you more energy, and to make you feel relaxed, which is all of the things that we want and feel like we need today, right? Now, by the way, they specifically use this kind of vague language because they can't make any kind of medical claims on their products. But all of this doesn't really matter because they know that all they really need to do is get the right person to try it once. The right person being somebody with a history of substance abuse. And they're very likely to be buying boxes of this stuff in the future to sustain their habit. And what I can't stop thinking about is how this is just the beginning. Like, these kinds of beverages are going to become more common because despite the controversy and the stories about how horrible this product is, people are going to try it. And companies know that it's going to sell like crazy in this kind of environment. And then there's like this double irony here, right? Because like in this context, the ability to buy over-the-counter stimulants at gas stations, even in US states where the possession of cannabis is still a felony offense, is kind of absurd. The country that literally invented the war on drugs really seems to be taking a sweet time on this subject. But the war on drugs was a response to the weed and psychedelic culture of the 60s and the 70s. Specifically, drugs that made people kind of unproductive. Whereas Feel Free isn't a party drug, it's a productivity drug. If, what is it, turn on, tune in, and drop out was the counterculture mantra of the late 60s, today it's more like sign in, lock in, and tweak out or something. Just fucking ripping Zins, hitting the vape, sucking back a Feel Free, and just doing like 40 hours of day trading in a row.
We're expected to produce more than we ever have in a shorter amount of time than we ever have.
You gotta use drugs to get that productivity now.
We say this about technology, like we say, oh, the computer is going to save us so much time, we won't have to work as much. No, you're going to work the same amount of time, you're just going to produce more stuff. We say this about technology all the time. We don't really say this about substances, even though it's the exact same thing. When we invent new substances that makes us get work done faster, it doesn't actually give us time off from work. It just gives us more shit to do and more substances to take,
and
you
we're
know?
just taking more while we do it. It is an interesting, tricky balance, like as content creators online working in this world, we're fighting it every single day to not get completely absorbed by the platform that we contribute to. Like, yeah. I feel it personally on a daily basis to not let the desire to keep up with the never-ending sort of pulse of the internet in my soul. I feel that. I know, I've deliberately not taken any study drugs or anything like Feel Free because I know I would like it too much. I would be hooked on that shit immediately.
This is like body augmentation at this point. And it's so cool to be like, oh, I wish I had like robo legs that could get me to places faster. No, it's like you get robo drugs to look at computer faster. And this is what's required of us. We work so much that Levi couldn't wait the 15 minutes it would take for him to drive home from a dentist's office. So he's got to do the Google Meets while he's driving.
We are firmly in hustle culture. If we choose to destroy our brains with amphetamines and stimulants in order to hustle more, to increase shareholder value, to make more profits, the people in power aren't necessarily going to stop us. They may even encourage that kind of behavior. We talked about in our Zin episode last year about how it had become a conservative cultural staple. Tucker Carlson couldn't stop talking about it. Politicians were even making it a partisan issue. JD Vance was on the campaign trail with Zin in his mouth.
Was analyzing this pic after the fucking full Sun Podski today. What do we got right there, buddy? Is that a little fucking Tinsker? Is that a little sooty? Is that a little sooty?
And at that time, a year ago, Zin was still controversial enough for our video to be demonetized. But today, Zin is the one monetizing videos. And while Feel Free doesn't have maybe the same kind of widespread appeal that Zin does, it already has a foothold with Joe Rogan. And these days, that level of clout can take you a long way.
Yeah, how did your experience go?
I felt the wave. I felt the, you hit the kind of euphoria point. You feel really good. Like, I felt really happy. I got in a good, flow state doing work. You just kind of, you feel like glad to be doing what you're doing. And then pretty quickly you drop off and then you feel like pretty bad. And I just had like a nasty headache and I was like, life sucks.
Dude, on half of one bottle, that's what you felt?
Well, that's the dose is half of the bottle. The whole time I was like dealing with the script and like editing this, I was thinking, why do they put the 2 doses in one bottle?
Why wouldn't they just water it down?
Why wouldn't they just water it down and sell more?
Yeah.
I realized that you come off of this thing so quickly. So it's good for them to be like, take half as the first dose and then you're gonna like crash in like an hour and then take the other half and then you can kind of string this thing along. And that's why people end up taking like multiple a day, which is what they say you shouldn't do. You're staving off the crash. It's not that the high is so good. You're literally just staving off the really bad part. An hour after I took it and like once I started crashing, I was like beating myself up. I was like, why did I pour out the rest? Like, this sucks.
You poured out the rest?
Yeah, I poured out the rest so I couldn't take anymore. And I probably would have taken more if I didn't pour it out.
So I know that most of you who watch our channel regularly are maybe a little bit more educated about these kinds of things, but I feel like I have to tell you to not buy Feel Free. And if you know somebody who's interested in buying it, you should tell them to not buy it or drink it or consume it. There, that's my rant. That's my dad rant. You're not gonna hear it again from me, but you can't say I didn't tell you. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to see more of it, subscribe and you'll see another episode every single week. Whew, that was a doozy.